Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Saturday, June the 25th, 2022. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here to discuss the entire 15-game MLB slate. We're going to cover it all here at Coach Talk today. So if you're playing the early slate, the very early slate, the all-day slate, or the afternoon slate, the evening slate, the late night slate, you get it. In other words, we got you covered here. We're going to give out some picks. We'll talk about our pay up, value, and fade pitchers. We'll go over BVP, our HR play stacks of the day, some prize pick selections for you, and then just sort of wrap it all up. And hopefully that gives you a good look. If you're not playing the all-day slate, then you can pick and choose the pieces of information and plug them in accordingly to whatever slate you're playing. What I did find today, though, is all the slates are really good. I really like the 105 slate. Some great games there, including Cole against the Astros and that whole scenario. And then the evening games are terrific as well. They started at 7:05 or 7:10. And then they go till the last games start at 10:10. So it's a huge, long day of baseball today. A lot of great games and really not any bad weather. The only spot that has a chance as of right now to be a small problem is in Chicago for that White Sox game. So we're going to follow that very closely here throughout the day at Coach Talk. I do believe it's going to be all right there. But other than that, I think, having to keep an eye on that one, everything else looks pretty darn good. So that helps a lot as well. We're coming off a really good night. Last night, it was a clean sweep for us here at Coach Talk. Some really good winners on Draftkings Fanduel and Yahoo, and also some prize picks selections that were winners, which is awesome as well. A couple things real quickly. Normally on Saturdays, Josh Crash Davis is with me. He has some things going on today, so he's going to jump in with me tomorrow. Usually Sundays I go solo. So tomorrow on Sunday, you'll have both Josh and I, and we will put together a two brains are better than one lineup for that main slate that starts at 105. Or early. It's the early slate. So definitely tune in tomorrow for that one. If you were expecting to see Josh today, hang in there with me. My scary mean mug won't, you may want to hide the pets and kids, but other than that, Josh will pretty up the screen for you again tomorrow. But you're stuck with me today. So we're going to hit the entire slate, go over it little by little here, make sure that we have as many gems uncovered as we can to get us ready for back-to-back winners here. Before we get started, real quickly, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. That's super important to us here. Hit the subscribe button and the little alarm in the upper corner. Click that so that they're going to let you know here whenever one of our podcasts posts. So all of our podcasts in front of the paywall. Excuse me. I have a nice sneeze for every podcast. It's hilarious. All of our podcasts in front of the paywall are posting. And then we're providing all kinds of stuff at Coach Talk. Like this weekend is phenomenal. We're sweating the Travelers Golf. We've got tons of MLB. We have MMA today and NASCAR tomorrow. Just all kinds of stuff going on. Shout out to our man Colin Chatch. Had some nice hockey lineups last night for the playoffs that he plugged in there. And we're really happening here at Coach Talk. It's a great team and a lot of success. And we'd love to have you join us. Just go to dfscoachtalk.com and you can sign up there. If you sign up today, from now till the 4th of July, we have an incredible special. If you sign up, it's $74, $74.74. And you get all of our coverage, everything that we do, all the way until September 2nd. That's right up until football. So this is the perfect time. If you're ever we're going to join, this is the best special that we offer all year. All right, no further ado. Thank you for sticking with me for that very beginning there. And we are going to start here with our very first game. And that is a 105 game. And what a game it is. It's the Houston Astros at the New York Yankees. A total of 8.5 in this game. 3.74 implied for Houston. 4.76 implied for the Yankees. It's Christian Javier and his 9.1K DraftKings price against Garrett Cole and his 10.4 price. It's 88 hot degrees in New York, so the ball should be jumping. Slight breeze, just 3-4 miles an hour out to right center. So good hitting conditions, great matchup, two good offenses, and obviously, Cole and Javier, so some good pitching as well. So we'll see what we're going to do with that game. Second game's 110, Pirates at the Rays. It's a 7.5 total in that game. 3.20 implied for Pittsburgh, 4.30 for the Tampa Bay Rays. It's JT Brubaker and his 7.9K against Corey Kluber and his 8.6K. So interesting matchup here. I've been picking on Kluber a little bit lately, but in Tampa, which is tough to hit the ball out, and against the Pirates, though, Kluber is tempting, but a little pricey. So we'll see how things look in this game. It's in the Dome in Tampa. Third game is the game I talked about that has a slight rain chance. That's the one we're going to be watching very, very closely if we're going to fade it or not. Again, it's the only one that I'm concerned about on the entire slate. It's a 2:10 p.m. Eastern game. Baltimore at Chicago White Sox. 9 total. 3.72 implied for Baltimore. 5.28, a big number for the White Sox. So stackable if there's no weather issues here. The wind is blowing in at 12 miles an hour in from right. 78 degrees, though. So, those thunderstorms could pop up. They're saying at game time, it's going to rain there probably a couple hours before. But at game time, it's more down to about a 35% chance and then decreases through the afternoon. So maybe a late start. I wouldn't play either one of these pitchers just in case there is a delay. It's Spencer Watkins and his $4,000 salary. That's right. And that's about what it's worth, too, to be honest with you. And Lance Lynn at 7.6K, who I played last time out and isn't a bad play, but I will be thinking about it and watching that weather in this one. All right, next game, 2:15, Chicago Cubs at the St. Louis Cardinals. You have a total of 9 here. And implied total for Chicago is 3.78 and a big 5.22 for the Cardinals. So another stackable team there. It is going to be 94 hot degrees in St. Louis with a 8-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to left. So that's not good news for the pitchers. Adrian Sampson is starting for the Cubs, 6.7K on DraftKings, and Miles Mikolas is 9.6K for the St. Louis Cardinals. 4:05, so we have a little break there. That's the Nationals at the Rangers. Dome closed because it's like 107 in Dallas today, and so they are playing under the roof. And it's 8.5 total runs in that one. 4.13 implied for Washington. 4.37 for the Texas Rangers. It's Josiah Gray at 8.2K and the super cheap Matt Bush at 4K for the Texas Rangers. So, wow. Yeah, didn't expect Matt Bush to be in that rotation, to be honest with you. So going to look at this game for sure. Texas definitely not the easiest park to hit it out of, but these pitchers, leave a little to be desired. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we break down our selections. At 4:10, we've got the Toronto Blue Jays at the Milwaukee Brewers. Another dome game. 8 is the total. 3.43 implied for Toronto. 4.57 for the Milwaukee Brewers. Yusei Kikuchi at 7.3K on DraftKings. Definitely can give up some home run balls. And then Corbin Burns, he's expensive, 10.1K. He can be great and he can be okay. So definitely worth considering. Toronto lineup's a little intimidating, but Burns definitely something we're going to look at and consider today. All right, at 410, we've got the Oakland A's at the Kansas City Royals, two teams that are not good at all. We do have a nice total here, though, 9.5. And you've got, what's the 411? Well, 4.11 is the number for Oakland as far as implied total, and 5.39 for Kansas City. I don't know if they've had an implied total that high all season. But part of that is because the pitchers in this game, by the way, it's 93 with a 5 to 6 mile an hour wind blowing out to right. That's more of a breeze, but still with that heat, any breeze blowing out, that adds to that number. That's why Vegas has it set at 9.5 and Kansas City was such a big implied. It's Jared Koenig, the lefty, at 5.6K for Oakland, and Brad Keller at 6.8K for Kansas City. So certainly conducive all the way around for hitting, but you have two teams that just don't hit the ball very well. So we have a bit of a conundrum in that game. I can see some one-offs, though, as we go through here in just a bit. Another 4-10 games, the New York Mets and the Miami Marlins. The total's 8. We have a 4.40 implied for the Mets, 3.60 implied for Miami. This one played there in the Dome in Miami. A guy that I'm really looking at a lot right here, Chris Bassett, 8.8K on DraftKings. Very fair price going against a Marlins team that has not hit the ball very well. And then Trevor Rogers, the lefty, at only 6.5K going against the Mets. Certainly not the same Trevor Rogers that we've seen last year. So makes this for an interesting game, though. That 4.40 for the Mets implied is pretty fair, but Vegas also sees Bassett possibly controlling this game a bit with just the 3.60 implied for Miami. So certainly something we will talk more about here as our selection time comes up. All right, 6:10, we slip to that odd game time. It's Boston at Cleveland. We've got an 8.5 total here in Vegas with a 3.76 implied for Boston, 4.74 for Cleveland. So fair numbers there. A balmy 85 in Cleveland. Breeze blowing in, straight in from left field at 9 miles an hour. So, not really going to help the long ball, but with the heat there, it's normally not that hot right there on Lake Erie in Cleveland. So I think that might counteract it and get some of those balls to carry. You've got a 3.76 implied for Boston with Josh Winkowski on the hill. And again, the pricing here is changed a little bit. We'll check that on DraftKings. They're trying to price it per slate. So he's pretty cheap. And then Shane Bieber on the other side, he has a 4.74 implied for Cleveland. So interesting matchup here. Bieber definitely pitching better than he had at one stretch. But against that Boston team, it's a good matchup. Could go either way on the hitting or the pitching, really. So we're going to examine this game as a little bit further also. All right, this starts the evening main slate now. 7:15, we have the LA Dodgers at the Atlanta Braves. Another fun matchup with, of course, Freeman going against his old squad in Atlanta. There's a slight chance of a shower there, but I think we're going to be just fine. I'm not concerned even about any delays there. But it is 87 degrees, slight breeze blowing in from left at 8 miles an hour. About a 25% chance at best that a shower passes throughout the game, but I think it's a clean go. You have a 9 total in this game, 4.02 implied for the Dodgers. and a big 4.98 implied for the Braves. Mitch White's on the hill for the Dodgers, 6.1K, and Max Fried, the lefty, 8.6K for the Braves. So good matchup there. Certainly some good hitting potential in that game. 7:15, we go to Colorado at Minnesota. Beautiful day in Minnesota. We've got a strong wind, though, 15 miles an hour blowing out to right center. So, man, that's going to help. And it's 80 degrees in Minnesota. So look out. This could be a game you're going to get some runs in. We thought we'd get a lot yesterday, and maybe it's today that we get a bunch. So it's a 9.5 total in Vegas. So again, one of the bigger numbers. 4.02 implied for Colorado, 5.48 for Minnesota. So big number. Minnesota's going to get stacked a lot. You have Antonio Senzatella and his 6.6K salary pitching for Colorado. And then Chris Archer and his 6.4K price for Minnesota. I like the hitting in this game. I know neither team's been ripping the cover off the ball, but I think that with the temperature, the wind blowing out, and these pitchers not really pitching well, and then Vegas's implied totals here, I think you can look for a nice little stack here in that game. All right, 7:15. We have the Cincinnati Reds at the San Francisco Giants. It's an 8 total in this game, 3.04 implied for Cincinnati is all, and 4.96 for San Fran. So heavy favorites here on the San Francisco side, big time. You've got Mike Minor, the lefty, at 6.2K pitching for the Reds, and then Logan Webb at a pretty cheap 7.8K pitching for the Giants. And as we'll talk about coming up, I just think that's too cheap for Logan Webb. He's a good pitcher. Cincinnati has not hit the ball well. It's in San Fran. And, you know, what I love about playing pitchers in San Francisco, it's only going to be 58 in San Francisco. And that compared to all these 78s and 80, 88s, you know, 58 degrees. And there's just a very slight breeze. Actually, they've increased. That's changed. It says 16 miles an hour blowing out to left center. So that scares me a little bit now that I look at that. I'm going to follow that. Yes, 59, 58, whatever is very nice. But if it's blowing out that hard to left center, and the game's playing a little earlier than normal, those San Fran games usually start at like 10:10 on the East Coast. This one's at 7:15. So you're going to have a combination of a couple of things. It's a little bit earlier, so it's not going to be quite as cool. That marine layer, like they say, isn't going to make the air quite as heavy. So the ball could carry a little more. The only plus side is you get some shadows in that ballpark when the games are that much earlier. So, you know, I don't care what they say for hitters, and I've been in that situation. It's hard to see the ball when it comes out of the pitcher's hand and it goes from dark to light or back to dark again. You know, it's very, very difficult. So I'm going to marinate on this game and follow that weather a little bit more. The wind's usually not blowing out that hard right straight out of the ballpark. So certainly a game to keep a very close eye on. Now we jump to the late games, and there are 3 of them. 10:07, Seattle at the LA Angels. Beautiful weather there, 80 degrees, very comfortable, breeze 5 miles an hour out to right center. You've got a total of 8 in this game, 3.81 for Seattle implied, 4.19 for the Angels. Shout out to Mike Trout, man. He bailed me out last night. He is my hero of the day for sure. Interesting pitching matchup here. You have a very expensive Logan Gilbert. He's 9.9K on Draftkings, and he's expensive everywhere, going against an Angels team that I don't know if you want to say they're playing better. They were so bad. They're losing like 16 games in a row or whatever it was. But the way Ohtani and Trout are hitting the ball, my goodness, man, I don't know why they even pitched to those guys because the rest of the team is not that good. But Gilbert's got that, going for him against LA. A lot of the other guys, not hitting the ball well. For LA, though, it's Patrick Sandoval and his $8,000 salary against a Seattle team that scrappy hitters, but haven't really put it all together this year either. So we'll be following that game closely as the evening wears on. All right, the last two games are both 10-10 games. One of them is Philadelphia at San Diego. And of course, like we say every day, perfect weather in San Diego. How about 74 degrees, slight breeze blowing in from left at 6 miles an hour. 8 is the total in this game. You've got Zach Eflin on the mound for the Phillies. The Phillies have an implied total of 3.87, and they're going up against Blake Snell from the Padres and his 9.1K salary. And San Diego's implied total is 4.13. So a pivotal game here. Again, not expected to have the big bats for San Diego in there once again. With those guys out, they are not the same hitting team without question. So maybe Machado gets back sometime this weekend, but we will see. All right, the last game, Detroit Tigers at the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's an 8.5 total in Vegas, 3.86 implied for Detroit, 4.64. Pretty good number for Arizona. You've got Alex Mlb Dfs. He's 6K, and Zach Davies 6.9K. And again, that's an 8.5 total altogether with those implieds. Now, interesting game here. It's in the dome, the humidor going, so probably, not conducive to tons of runs. But with these two pitchers, they certainly can give up some gopher balls, and it does keep that game in play without question. It's always nice to have a late homer in the mix too. You got to love that. All right, that is the breakdown of all 15 games as far as conditions, pitchers, cost a little bit to give you that analysis. So let's jump in now and look at what I'm considering here pitching wise. I'm going to give you a couple of different options today, the way I see this playing out, because it's early and I haven't made up my final decision because I want to see a few weather situations. But I'll give you what I've got right now. And again, I'm an open book. I don't hold stuff back to hold stuff back. I just want to give you the most updated information. And if I'm going to make any changes lineup wise or not sure, I want to, make sure that all of that is explained right here. So, all right, as far as buying up, one guy I really like tonight is Chris Bassett. I think he's probably my favorite pitcher on the entire slate, and I will spend decent on him, but I think he's a steal. I think he's totally underpriced. He's been very consistent. He's really having a fine season. And he's going against the Miami Marlins team that's very inconsistent. It's in Miami, which is it's a pitcher's park. And, he's only 5-5 with a 4.03 mark for the Mets. But I think that he's pitched better than that. Pricing is a little weird, though. He's a super steal on DraftKings, where I'll probably have him locked in 100%. He's only 7,800. Different story on FanDuel. Makes you, think about it a little bit. It is a one-pitcher site, but he's 96 on there. So almost $2,000 more than he is on DraftKings. So I'm not solidified there just yet, but I do like him. And he's a fair $45 on Yahoo. Now, my other situation is this. I definitely am still leaning towards Logan Webb. I think he's a stud. 6-2, 3.26 ERA, pitching in San Fran, great pitcher's park, as we know, going against a Reds team that is 22 games under 500, obviously not hitting the ball great. My only concern that I want to watch is that wind, and I want to see, how things changed through the day. Now, I'm looking at 3 different sites. One has the winds at 18 miles an hour out to left. One has it at 16 and one has it at 11. So, does that make a difference? It does. I mean, if I see winds gusting out to left at 20 miles an hour before the game, that's going to concern me enough. If it's, breeze out to left at 8 to 10 miles an hour, not going to be as big of a deal. But, if it was to start right now, I'd go with Logan Webb as my other pitcher. So in that sense, I don't really have full-blown pay up and value, but I have 2 what I consider slight pay ups, but values in the same sense. So, Webb is 78, I'm sorry, Bassett was 8,800. I take that back. It's Webb that's 7,800 on DraftKings. Bassett's 8,800. And then on FanDuel, Webb is 9,600, where Bassett is 98. So more of a pay up on these guys on FanDuel, but you can only use one. And good value on DraftKings. And I think they're both good value on Yahoo. 45 for Webb, 41 for Bassett. So, I think both of these teams are in a good spot. Cincinnati strikes out enough that's going to help Webb. And certainly I think definitely Miami strikes out enough. I think that'll help Bassett. The other guy, though, and it's a real stickler here, I'm not fading him at all, and he might make my lineup. I may make a change here, especially like my Yahoo all day. I am considering Garrett Cole. I know he's the most expensive on the slate, and he did get smashed a couple games ago by Minnesota. But the bottom line is he's pitching against his old team in Houston. It's in New York, but it's against Houston. And it is warm there. There's no question the ball's going to jump out. And there's no question Houston has dangerous pitching. So, I'm not leaning towards Garrett Cole, but if I go with a secondary lineup where I use Webb as the second pitcher, I may use Cole as my pay-up guy. So not considering that completely, but not eliminating it. So I will not be playing Astros. The concern is, do they have some guys that can hit the ball? I mean, Altuve and Brantley for sure. Bregman hasn't been quite the same Bregman, but then he's got to face my favorite player in the league, Jordan Alvarez, a lefty. Tucker, the lefty, who's been showing a lot of pop lately. And then, definitely some strikeouts, though, at the bottom of that lineup. So it's a tough call. There's no question. I don't think he gets hammered. I think he's going to be a good pitcher on the slate. I just don't know if I want to pay all the way up for him, when he could give up 2 or 3 home runs to Houston. There's no question. Now, is there going to be anybody on base? That's the whole thing. If there's a few guys on base when he gives up a few of those homers, then it's trouble. If the couple solo shots, it's no big deal with the amount of strikeouts that he can ring up there. So that's my consideration. If it would be Webb, Bassett, Cole, looking at that, those threesome as my main guys to fill out my squad early on here, pitching wise. The guy that I'm going to fade, it's not because I don't like him. I just think he's very overpriced. I know his stats are great, and it's Logan Gilbert for Seattle. He is 7-3 with a 2.28 ERA. I get that. He is a good pitcher, but he is up there at the top price-wise on all the sites. And against LA, with Trout and Ohtani swinging it the way they are, eventually the Wards, Walshes, those kind of guys are going to hit. And I just don't think it's the best matchup. And as far as bang for your buck, I just don't see paying those kind of prices for him. If he was priced $1,000 or $1,500 less, then it's a consideration, but he's priced very high on DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo. So Logan Gilbert is my fade pitcher of the day. All right, let's go to BVP selection of the day. And I'm going to go with Trey Turner. for the Dodgers against Max Fried. Yes, Max Fried's tough, but I think Trey Turner's, he's hot right now. He's got a great BVP against Fried in the past. Small sample, but we believe in it here at Coach Talk. He is batting .333 against Fried, 8 for 24. He's homered off him. He's walked 3 times. He stole a base or 2. And he's just solid, 907 OPS, 500 slugging, 407 OBP. So the way Trey Turner is hitting, the fact that it's really hot in Atlanta, and I think he can get to Fried today. As far as my HR call, it's a little different one. I like it for several reasons, though. It's Darren Ruff, who will probably be low owned for San Francisco. He's been batting like third for them. It's against Mike Minor. And again, I know it's cool there, but I think that with that wind or whatever it ends up being blowing out to left center will be perfect for Darren Ruff. And he's 4 for 11 against Mike Minor. He's homered off of him, 5 ribbies. And the good thing about Darren Ruff is he walks, and he's walked 4 times against Mike Minor. And, I love that combination. That's what's led to his 1136 OPS, 636 slugging, 500 OBP, and again, 364 average. So it's Darren Ruff as my HR call today. And that would be nice if I go Webb and he can hit a home run and everybody's happy. All right, stacks. Let's talk about the important aspect of stacks. I think there are several places you can go today. I do like the Minnesota Twins stack against Senzatella with Arise, Buxton, Correa, Kepler, that group specifically. And you can go a few different spots, but I like them with the temperature, the conditions, the way Senzatella is pitching. The Colorado bullpen hasn't been great. Nice 15-mile-an-hour breeze blowing out. Gotta love that as well. So I will not probably 4 or 5-man stack on this big of a slate, especially if I'm playing an all-day card. But, a good 2 or 3 guys, probably 3 for Minnesota, I think is a fine play. I really do. And then another stack that I'm looking at here, I know that it's been horrible. Nobody's going there. They're not hitting that well. And I'm not going to stack more than 2 guys. Let's just say that. So mini stack, not really considered a stack team. But I do think the Brewers can get to Kikuchi today. I really do. It's Adames, McCutchen, Renfroe, Yelich, and Urias. There's some guys there that can pop it out and I think give Kikuchi some trouble. They have a 4.57 implied in Milwaukee. So not embarrassed to go there with 2 or maybe even 3 because the price is right. They have some cheap guys in the middle of that lineup, like a Hunter Renfroe at 3.6, McCutchen at 3.8, Keston Hiura at 2.4. Batting 6. So you got a lot of guys in there that you can consider, I think are really in a good spot. And then, not going to stack against Logan Gilbert. I do want to have a couple of Angels or at least a one-off in there somewhere in the mix, I think is probably a good play. And then as bad as Arizona hits the ball, and they are so disappointing like all the time, it is a late game against Mr. Fado, Alex Fado. So, 4.64 implied for the Diamondbacks. I'm not going to say full stack them, but I'm not afraid to have a little mini 2 or 3 man. With Varsho, Thomas, Marte, Walker, Peralta, those top 5, having 2 or 3 of those guys at cheap prices really helps to make things work. So that, if I do use Cole, definitely going to go there. If not, I can cherry pick a little bit more. So a few GPP stack spots there for you that I think really can, make a difference. But, it's a type of slate, especially if you're playing the all day, where there are a ton of options. And I think going those little mini two-man deals can really get it done. I think you're going to find some spots where you just really have to dig in and look for, more than just a small BVP, but you're going to have to look at performance splits, etc. So the good thing here at Coach Talk, and before we give out our prize picks plays of the day, we supply a really solid core of players to make your DraftKings lineup. So we're going to give you that core, and then can build your DraftKings lineups from there. And we also give a full lineup out for Fanduel, full lineup out for Yahoo, both GPP and cash. So you got to love that. So you're getting a lot of plays there. We're going to give you your prize picks plays of the day as well. We'll give you a couple here in the podcast, and then we'll add a few more on before lock. So we would love to have you join us. I mean, we've got everything going with PGA, MLB, NASCAR, MMA, all of that stuff going full tilt right now. And again, we have just this short window between today and July 4th where you can sign up for our July 4th special. It ends on 7/4. It's $74. For that, you get everything we have, all access, all sports in our Discord instantly. And that goes all the way to September 2nd. So it is our best deal of the year. So come and join us. We have the best community, super positive. We don't allow any chirping and whining and all that baloney. Life's difficult enough. We want this to be a fun escape. And the other thing that you get with us that nobody else offers, we give a one-on-one skull session, study session. You can schedule with me, or if you want to schedule with one of our other pros here at Coach Talk. And we talk about the important stuff of being successful in DFS. If you want to play DFS and be successful and sustain your bankroll long-term, we have that secret sauce here at Coach Talk. We're going to explain contest selection and bankroll management. We'll go over that with you. And those things are the most important. Yes, anybody can get lucky and hit some tournament here or there, but if you play it wrong, you're eventually going to pour that back in. We're going to give you a real good set of standards to follow every day so that you can have a good sustainable growth in your bankroll long term. And I know that's what everybody wants to do. Nobody likes to reload. So definitely check us out. dfscoachtalk.com is where you can find us. You click on the button to choose a package, choose that July 4th. Immediately you're put into Discord, and you'll get all of our picks, selections, everything we have from there. All right, prize picks plays of the day, my friends. Let's go with pitcher fantasy score. I'm going to go Chris Bassett over 37.5. Really like that play today. Like I say, against the Marlins, team that doesn't hit that well in a ballpark that is very conducive for good pitching. I think that Chris Bassett in a solid spot, that 37.5 number is very attainable. In fact, I have him at 41 in my projection. So I think he will be my pitching play today for everybody. As far as hitting, let me double check. I always like to get the very latest and up-to-date numbers here, because sometimes they take them on and off the board, and sometimes they also will change it. Okay, I'm going to go with Jose Ramirez over 8.5 fantasy score against Boston. I think the heat in Cleveland, Ramirez is phenomenal hitter, good spot for him. I think that 8.5 he can get in his first at bat or two. I feel very comfortable about that. So those are my top two plays of the day. Bassett over 37.5, Ramirez over 8.5. And if you're a member of Coach Talk, we'll have anywhere from 3 to 4 more plays for you at least 30 minutes before lock, once we see all the other conditions, if there's any lineup changes, pitching changes, weather changes. So we'll go from there. All right, my friends, that is everything for today. Hopefully that helps you with all of your lineups, regardless what time that they roll. Tomorrow is going to be a fun one. We'll put out a podcast early in the morning for the early slate on Sunday, and we'll have all the fresh numbers and information. Crash and I will be on that podcast together. We'll do everything that we did today, including adding a FanDuel 2 brains are better than one lineup that we'll build right on the podcast. So you'll have that to look forward to as well. So set that little Discord alert so that you have that there. And then if you're on YouTube, you can hit that little alarm in the upper corner to give you an alert when any of our podcasts post. Please hit that thumbs up. That means a lot to us. I'll be in the chat here, hopefully chatting with all you guys and gals during the premiere of the podcast, and then hit that subscribe button as well. Really appreciate all of you joining me this Saturday. Hope you have an absolutely fantastic weekend. Weather's beautiful all over the country, a little hot, but it's beautiful. So stay cool, enjoy it, watch some baseball, and let's take down some slates, keep our momentum going here at Coach Talk. So thanks again. Have a great day, and we'll be back tomorrow when we look to crush it in Major League Baseball, DFS, and Prize Picks.